Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, and privyet. It's really, really good to be with you again. And we have a very special guest back with us again. So I'm really excited to have her back. And it's Agnese Rudzate, who's a productivity specialist. Hey, if you didn't catch our last episode, please make sure you go check it out because we had a really interesting conversation. We had started to talk about time management and productivity, and we discussed some of the big challenges that could come in the way of your being able to effectively time manage and be productive. So you need to go check that out. And yeah, today we're just going to dig deeper and talk about more amazing issues related to this. So welcome again, Agnese.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me for the second round. I'm happy to be here and to immerse more into all things productivity and just how to make our lives better.
Yeah, my gosh, because you're so right. Productivity and making our lives better are so connected. They're so
They go hand in hand, hand in hand.
indeed, indeed. Ah,
Yeah.
so can you tell me more? Like last time, we talked about some of the big issues and challenges that people
Mm-hmm.
can face, particularly in the context of there just not being enough time and there being
Yeah.
so many distractions and
Yeah.
so forth. What can we focus on today that will really help our listeners?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, and what we touched last time was really being willing to just to change ourselves, to change our habits, and just be willing to receive help and to ask for it, not to be afraid.
Mm,
And I'm sure that we've all been guilty of trying to do everything by ourselves, thinking that we can manage it all, or wearing too many hats at the same time. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with us doing a lot of things, but the problem starts when we start to do these things at the same time or a very short amount of time. This is when we drain out and we just burn ourselves out.
yeah.
um, and the first thing to do is really to notice it and accept it, because so many times we're in this wheel and we just keep going and going and going, right? But it's our job to stop and look inside to understand, what can I change and what can I do better? And that's for all areas in our lives. Whether
Mm,
we talk about business, lifestyle, or exercise, whatever it is, we need to see ourselves for who we are, right? And accept ourselves. And this is where all the time management and productivity and other things really evolve and get better, because we accept ourselves for who we are. And for me, the best practice that has helped me um, to get into that state and to be more open to receive is through meditation. As simple as it is, is just so profound, yet so many people are maybe scared, or they don't understand what it is, that like
mm,
what does that mean? I'm gonna have to sit in a silence now for 20 minutes, like how does that work, but the beauty of it is that you actually take the time for yourself to
mm.
understand your thoughts. Where are they wandering away? What is happening inside you? And this is how we can really waste less of our time. Um, there's a there's a saying. I don't know who said it. I might have to look it up. But there's a saying that every person should meditate for 20 minutes a day.
Mm,
But if you're really, really busy, then you should do it for 2 hours. And and the magic in this is that really we are as busy as we make ourselves to be.
mm.
We're in charge at the end of the day. We need to be willing to explore that, to really dive deeper and understand what keeps us so busy. Why
Yeah.
don't we have time? What's
Yeah.
the deal?
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. Yeah, yeah. And you just made me think, this book, I'm trying to remember the title of it, but I can't in the moment, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I remember the concept. Um, this idea, oh my gosh. Uh, you know, um, Basically in the book they were talking about how our our experience of time, it's like funny, right? And at some points in time, um, it seems to like really speed up, like when you're enjoying ourselves, we're in the flow of something. It's like, whoa, where did the time go? And other time it's like dragging. So
Yeah.
we're like, oh my God.
This is when you start to meditate for the first time. It's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. What's happening?
Exactly. And one of the most important lessons that I learned from this book was that, the fact that we have this relative experience of time, we can actually begin to consciously tap into this and utilize it to our benefit. And, the fact that when you're in a state of flow, and you experience like this it on the one hand it's like, oh yes, where did the time go? But on the other hand, it's like when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing in that state of flow, like you don't even worry about time, and somehow you have enough time. That's another part of the experience, that you just get to do what you want to do, and you're loving doing it, and you have no worries about time at all when you're in that state. And so wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to experience other times, especially in those times when we are feeling worried about time?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
And this is why this conversation is so important. And this is why it's so important to get the information out as much as we can, that it is possible. It is possible. And you just need to learn the tools and follow the practices, implement new habits. So this happens for you. And let's not create this life that, oh yes, because I'm a time management expert and nothing ever goes wrong, right? I plan everything, I schedule things, everything is fine. um it's not like that, because life happens, right? And things get changed. But what really creates success is our ability to get back up
yeah.
and continue, right? And be in that flow and really elevate ourselves. And this is why I said that time management goes hand in hand with like pain management,
Mm.
because we seek distraction to avoid this pain, this discomfort. And so it is up to us to really dig deeper and try to understand what causes that discomfort.
Mm.
What pain is under our actions? And the better we understand ourselves, the better we will become at time management, productivity, and all the necessary things to really clear and concise mind.
Yes.
Because we need to understand ourselves to manage ourselves better. And I think the last time I was here, I mentioned this author, Nir Eyal. He was the one who really did like extensive research about getting productive and not allowing ourselves to get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was attending one of his master classes, and he was the one who said time management is actually pain management.
Mm-hmm.
And at that instance, it made so much sense to me, because this is what I have been confirming to myself and through the practice and working with people, that it really, there is some kind of underlying issue. Why do we procrastinate? There might be things like yearly tax declaration that we tend to like put aside and like, don't really want to do it now. And we find all sorts of excuses, whether we go in the kitchen, start to wash dishes, clean the mirror, whatever it is, we just tend to procrastinate. So we need to understand why. What is it that makes this discomfort inside us? Where is that pain coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And once we dig deeper and start to understand, it just makes for us so much easier to manage our time better and be more productive, because then we can say, okay, I know what it is. I know where it's coming from. So let me do this and get it done off my desk, and I'm good to go to the next task. Because it is important to fill the tax declaration, right? You can't wait for it forever. It's something that you need to do. So
Yeah.
why don't you make it more enjoyable for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And when you said pain management
Yeah.
is about, like is time management is actually about pain management, the way that it immediately made sense for me is, as a healer, you know, I understand that there is a process of healing. And,
Mm-hmm.
earlier when we were talking about acceptance being the first step,
Yeah.
like acceptance is the first step to move
Yeah.
into healing, right? And so
Yeah.
whatever the kind of pain is that you're experiencing, and in this case, we're talking about a mental, emotional
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
a pain that's leading you
Yeah.
to procrastinate and distract
Yeah.
yourself from doing what you really need to do, and to heal that as well. Acceptance is the first step. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to sum this all up, what I mean by this is that distractions really cost us time,
Yeah.
and things like a to-do list increases those chances of us getting distracted. So,
Mm.
in general, like distractions lead us off the track.
Mm.
They really ignite that desire to escape discomfort. So it's what we procrastinate, but how do we do it? We look at outside the window and we're like, thinking about the view for 5 minutes. That's a procrastination.
Yeah.
But what is it about that view, or what's the deal here?
Yeah.
And this is a distraction for us. That view is a distraction, but it not doesn't always is the same thing, right? But for sometimes when we really look out for some distractions, we can find anything can distract us unless we're truly focused and allowing ourselves to be in that moment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Agnes. I think you're the most spiritual time and a management person and productivity person I've ever met. Because,
Mm.
oh my gosh, you just reminded me of like this amazing prayer that I actually make every day. And um, literally in this prayer, like I didn't make it up. It's like taught to Muslims. and it's one of the most central prayers that all Muslims make. And basically, we have been taught to pray to basically what we're praying. When we pray, we say, God, please help us to stay on the straight path, the path of those for whom your love is great, not on whom there is hate, and the path of those who do not deviate. So when you were talking about distractions, that's exactly what, like the
Yeah.
path of, like there is a path, and it's like we know this is the path for us to be going on, but we allow ourselves to deviate. We allow ourselves
Yeah,
to get distracted. And that
exactly.
is one of the seminal challenges of life, in fact. And this prayer teaches us that very lesson, that in fact, one of the most important things you can do to live your very best life is to learn how to not deviate.
Right, exactly. And that's all about dealing with our inner pain, distractions, and really know how to focus. And this is why time management is such a like wide range of things, because it's not just about an app and the planning.
Mm,
Of course, there are tools and you need to understand what physically you have to do as well,
yeah,
but it also you have to understand yourself. But unfortunately, a lot of times when I see people talking about time management, is really strict processes that you need to follow, but it's not for everyone.
yeah,
We all are very unique and different with different needs, right? And wants and desires. So we can't just say that this works for everyone. Yes, there is a framework, but we all fit in it differently, you
yes,
know?
yes, I love it.
Absolutely.
So will you share with us some like tools or
Yeah.
strategies, like anything that can help our listeners to actually begin to implement some of the amazing wisdom that you've been sharing?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, I would love to. Um, so first, we have to understand what creates balance for us and what makes us go out of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there is balance and there is disbalance. And from experience with high achievers and all of those and entrepreneurs who really want to go for it, want to do it all, it's quite common to trade time for other things that we find less important, like our body movement, exercise, diet. It feels like that's not that important, right? The success is the first thing that we want, and then the rest will follow. Well, actually, it's the opposite. So there are areas to start with if we want to create more time and more balance and be more productive. But if I'm being honest, want if we want more time, we must make it. It's up to us because we're in charge. So how to do it effectively? One of the greatest ways that has helped me and many others is to prioritize. However, we can't prioritize if we don't know what we want. And if we don't know that what we're doing is really leading us to the path where we want to go. So I like to use this one technique that is asking questions. I love asking questions. And this is, by the way, why coaching is so so important on the way to success, because then somebody from a side can come in and challenge you and ask you those questions, because you would never think to ask these things to yourself.
Yeah.
So one question that I would like to share is this. If I only accomplish this one task today, will I be satisfied with my day?
Mm,
And this just puts things into perspective. So how important is this task that you're about to complete? Why is it in your schedule? Is it important and urgent? Right? So will you be satisfied with your day? Because you never know what might happen. As I said, life gets in the way. if you only complete this, will this be good enough for you? What's the deal? Because there are so many things that we just do because of our routine. We're
Mm,
used to it, but does it really give you a benefit? Or what can you do instead to make it work better for yourself,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And this is really where the delegation can come in, or even automation. Some of the processes we're just doing manually, even though they can be automated and save us so much time, but because we're so used to the routine, we continue it,
yeah,
and so we continue to waste our time.
yeah. Mm. You just reminded me of another one of my teachers, and basically, um, my gosh, I mean, he says, like every day, he's like, I have one most important thing that I'm very, very clear on. This is what I have to accomplish. And
Yeah,
every day, that's the first thing I work on
yeah,
and I get it done. And he's like, just this one principle, following this one principle has changed my life and led me to the success that I have. And he's, by
yeah,
the way, a multi-millionaire, kind of
yeah,
a
yeah.
super successful person.
And when you said that, it reminded me that we all are really guilty of doing the small tasks before we go to the big one.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been guilty of that myself, because I like to clear my desk of all the unimportant small tasks before I dive in.
Yeah.
But it's not right. It's just, it might work for some, but in general, and what I have found in practice, is that usually it works the opposite. When we really need to start with that important one task, and then the rest will follow, because
Mhm.
then that also makes us prioritize that much better.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are times like I can think of when my one most important task for the day, maybe something that's time sensitive in the sense of like,
Yeah,
it maybe that I, um, have to meet with somebody and obviously there's a time set for that or something of that
yeah,
sort. Um, But when I have an open schedule or the ability to schedule things for myself and order things for myself in terms of when something gets done, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've experimented with this so many times
yeah,
and it's just one of the, I think, biggest times sucks for me that I found was like doing email. In the sense
right,
that on the one hand, it's like, oh, okay, I have to respond to email and, it's important, so to speak, but it just takes so long. And then
yeah,
and it's so distracting in the sense that
mm-hmm.
all the people who have emailed you, there's something that they're trying to put on your agenda. And so by doing your email first, I'm actually allowing other people to set my agenda first. And so
Right.
it's just
There
not
we go.
fun.
And this is how we prioritize other people's time before ours,
Mm,
right? And what I also wanted to mention here is that each of us, we have a specific productivity flow throughout the day.
mm-hmm.
Where we have, yeah, a certain productivity flow, which means that we are not productive 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's just, it doesn't happen. It's impossible to focus 8 hours straight. Even focusing for 2 hours is a hard work, I tell you this. But knowing your flow and understanding which time slots are the best for you, you
Mhm.
can then manage those activities and fit them in so you can reach higher, right? If
Yeah.
you don't like doing meetings in the morning, don't schedule them in. If you feel more in the flow, more creative in the afternoon, take that time to really create, because then you're in your zone, and this is how you use your full potential in
Yeah.
the best way, because you know that time. right?
That's another really, really excellent point. And I mean, I think for me, sometimes that may be the context within which I delay, not delay, a really important something that I need to do is, like I know exactly like when you said, when I have to do creative work, my I'm not at my best creative self in the morning,
Yeah.
especially early morning. I'm just not that kind of a person. And so then, what I do is just on my schedule, I block off the time that I know I'm at my best for that
Yeah.
creative work that I need to
Yeah.
do. And then I will, line up other less
Hmm.
important routine
Yes.
stuff that I just need to get through
Yeah.
and have it done at that less productive time that I have.
Yeah. So I would really like to encourage everyone to start by prioritizing ourselves and to do this really, really plan out your day in the way that best suits you.
Yeah.
Because as these creative entrepreneurs, we have that chance to do it. You
Yes.
know, we have that ability. Of course, if you're working 9 to 5 or you have other obligations, you can always work around it as well. It's not like you're stuck and nothing will ever change. No, because the changes, you're making the changes. No one else is doing that for you, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
really to map it out, map out your day, your ideal perfect day, and then strive for it. Change one thing at a time. Ask yourself questions. And also what is important, what I've noticed a lot is that we use the language that keeps us stuck. When
Mm,
we talk about time, being productive and serving, we really need to start by changing our language. And, so instead of focusing of that lack, we say, I have more than enough time for what I want to accomplish. I
mm,
have more than enough time. It's like you do maybe some mantras or affirmations for money or for lifestyle or for relationship.
yeah.
How about you do the same for your time? I
Mm,
have more than enough to accomplish what
mm,
I need. And
yeah.
and we need to be mindful about that and really pay attention when we put the lack mentality out there,
Mm,
because that's what we're getting more of. That just
yes.
comes right back.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just love what you had to share because guess what? In my paradigm of healing, after acceptance, the next step is to create an empowered mindset. It's like that self-talk that you do, of believing in yourself, that yes, I can attitude. It is indeed the most essential next step after acceptance. Oh, and then what you just said about like to the talk around the time, like when you say I don't have enough time, that is so
Mhm.
not empowered. You're so right about that. And actually oh my gosh, yeah, and just this idea of being able to create the time that we need for ourselves. And if you keep telling yourself there isn't enough time, I don't have enough time, you're literally uncreating
Yeah.
time for
You're
yourself.
creating less for yourself. You're
Yes.
creating less and less and
Yeah.
less time. And you're getting busier and busier by days, by hours, by minutes.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. I would encourage you who is listening to just do this experiment, for yourself. I mean, the first
Yep.
so many times that I did this experiment for myself, I was just like seriously amazed when this thought of there isn't enough time, I don't have enough time, and you're feeling rushed, you're starting to get stretched or and stressed out about time, just as soon as you become aware, flip that self-talk and be like, you know what? No, I'm doing absolutely
Yeah.
fine. There's plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have more than enough time for what I need. And just start repeating that
Yes.
in your mind and then just see what happens.
Yeah. And so this mindfulness work together with practical things that you implement really creates that magic that you are after.
Yes, and it's truly magical, actually.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there are practical steps that you can implement and
Yeah.
adapt, like, all the decluttering techniques when we talk about the computers, laptops, phones, whatever. Things like scheduling your to-do list actually in your calendar, not
Mm,
keeping like a list of things because you can just endlessly add there. You keep
yeah.
adding, but
Mm,
there's no time for that. How how are you and then you're creating anxiety for yourself because you know that how how are you going to fill this? You will not be able to complete these tasks
yeah,
never because it's like never ending, but the time is limited. And
right.
that's the problem, that's why we really need to schedule things into our calendar to really respect the time, respect the task, and
Yeah.
respect the fact that we are able to prioritize for ourselves
Mhm.
what best suits us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And, just last week, I was experiencing this where there had been like a number of things that I was actually supposed to do to help my dad. And I wasn't getting around to it until finally I just scheduled some time with him. I was like, I'm going to show up to your office and I'm going to
Yeah.
sit in your office. And just in that time that I had set aside, my goal was to like do all those little things that I had piled up
Yeah.
to do for
Yeah.
him. And then it got done.
Yeah. Right. It's as simple as that, but you have to make time for what is important to you
Mm,
at that moment,
right,
you know
right.
but that really comes a lot with knowing what distracts us, how we can turn ourselves back into the focus, and comes down to really understanding ourselves that much better. It's
Yeah.
a work. It's a
I-
work in progress.
Yes. Yes. Like for me, it was really important to set that time, not just with me on my calendar, but to set it with my dad, because for me, that gave me a sense of extra accountability. And then also changing the spot of, where I was going to do those tasks, going to his office. Like for me, I know that was really important because like when I'm at home, I'm in my workspace, then my mind naturally wants to keep working on my stuff. So I knew like for me to go into a different space that's not my workspace to do this
Right.
other work that's not my work, but it was important for me to do to help out my dad. Um, like those were
Yeah.
just, that was just,
And
yeah.
environment, it's the fourth productivity fundamental. So there we go. We really need to be aware of our surroundings
Yeah.
to do our best work. And as you said, things get done.
Mm.
And that's what happens if you really align those things and be more in balance and create that for yourself.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Having the right environment is also one of the core principles of making change fun and easy.
Yes. Exactly. We're on the same page.
We are. I love it. Oh man, I've been having so much fun talking with you about all this, Agnese. And we have to begin to wrap up for the day. Do you
We
have
did good. We
We
did good. We did
did.
good.
We did. I think we made an excellent use of our time. Do you have any last words to share with us?
Yes. So I wish all the listeners to dig deeper into ourselves, open up wider to receive, and ask questions. And I want to thank you, Samia, for doing what you do and having me here today. I'm sure that our discussion has supported your listeners and Make them just a tiny bit more curious about many options out there to better our lives.
Yes. Yes. And I know for sure spending this time with you has livened up. I hope that's the right word. My life and my day. Thank you so much for being the amazing person that you are. And I just really appreciate your approach to this, because I know there's so many time management and productivity gurus out there, and the approach that they take, because it's not as holistic as yours, um, is it just ends up getting people into more trouble, because they're just focusing on the surface level things of, just like whatever the surface level things that they're focusing on. And it doesn't really get to help people with the more deeper root causes of why they're struggling with their time and productivity in the first place. And so that's something I really, really appreciate about you.
Thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate you noticing it, and I hope that listeners notice it as well. And I hope that it really supports and helps those who in need, who really are on a journey to better themselves, their lives, their time, their productivity, and all things to grow and evolve.
Yes. And so with that excellent wish for all of our listeners, for you who are listening, please make sure you check the show notes for this episode, because I'll be adding Agnese's links in the show notes so you can connect with her very, very easily and reach out to her whenever you need some help and support in this area. And yeah, just create more ease in your life, create more ease and fun in the way you experience this whole thing about managing your time, managing your productivity, becoming more productive, and so on and so forth. So until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.